Imagine standing at the edge of an open pit mine. The ground trembles beneath your feet. A low, mechanical roar fills the air, deep, rhythmic, almost geological. And then you see it, rising from the dust like something out of another world. A machine so massive it takes your brain a full second to process what your eyes are showing you. A creature of steel and hydraulics. A titan that makes fully grown men look like insects standing beside it. This is the Caterpillar 6090 FS, the largest hydraulic mining excavator ever built on planet Earth. And once you understand what this machine can do, once the numbers sink in, you will never look at the world around you the same way again. Stay with us, because what you are about to discover will completely change how you think about mining, engineering, and the hidden force behind everything modern civilization depends on. Let's start with the basics, because even the basics of this machine are extraordinary. The Caterpillar 6090 FS weighs over 1,000 metric tons. Let that number sit for a moment. 1,000 tons. That is not the weight of a building. That is not the weight of a naval vessel. That is the operating weight of a single excavator, a machine that moves, pivots, digs, and swings its bucket across an open pit mine, like it was born to do exactly that. To put 1,000 tons into human terms, you would need to stack roughly 800 mid-sized sedans on top of each other. You would need a convoy of 250 standard dump trucks to haul its total mass. The foundations of an average family home are not built to support even a fraction of what this machine weighs when it takes a single step forward on its massive steel tracks. And those tracks, those incredible tracks, are engineering marvels in their own right. Each track link is machined to withstand forces that would shatter conventional construction equipment. If you place a standard mid-sized pickup truck beneath one of those tracks and let the machine roll over it, the truck would simply cease to exist, crushed flat in less than a second. No drama, no struggle, just the inevitable physics of an object that outweighs anything it encounters. But weight is only the beginning. Power, raw, thundering, ungovernable power. The Caterpillar 6090 FS runs on a combined engine output of approximately 4,500 horsepower. 4,500. To understand what that means, consider this. The average family car produces somewhere between 150 and 250 horsepower. The most powerful production sports cars on the planet produce around 1,000 horsepower and are considered engineering legends. This excavator has 4.5 times that power, continuously, in a machine that digs dirt for a living. That power does not go into speed. This is not a racing machine. That 4,500 horsepower goes entirely into force, into the hydraulic system that controls the boom, the arm, the bucket, and the swing. It goes into the ability to bite into solid rock, frozen ground, dense copper, or a compacted iron deposit, and tear it free from the earth as if the ground itself had no choice but to surrender. The hydraulic system that channels this power is a precision masterpiece. Reinforced lines, valves engineered to withstand pressures that would rupture conventional hydraulic systems 3 times over. Cylinders with wall thicknesses measured in centimeters, not millimeters. Every component is over-engineered. Every redundancy is built in because in the environments this machine operates, extreme heat, extreme cold, high altitude, abrasive dust, corrosive minerals, there is no room for failure. Stay with us, because the bucket numbers are about to stop you cold. 52 cubic meters. That is a capacity of a single bucket pass on the Caterpillar 6090 FS. 52 cubic meters of material. Every single cycle. To visualize that, the interior of a standard city bus is approximately 30 cubic meters. The 6090 FS bucket holds more than 1.5 city buses of material in a single scoop. An entire bus, packed full of rock, lifted, swung, and dumped in seconds. In terms of weight, that single bucket pass can hold over 120 tons of ore. 120 tons. In a single movement of the arm. A movement that takes approximately 20 seconds from dig to dump. Now think about a standard construction site dump truck. The kind you see on the highway every day, hauling gravel or soil. Those trucks carry maybe 20 tons per load. The Caterpillar 6090 FS moves the equivalent of 6 of those trucks every 20 seconds, without stopping, without rest, shift after shift after shift. And when it comes time to load the giant haul trucks that operate alongside it in open pit mines, the 400-ton payload monsters that are themselves engineering legends, the 6090 FS fills them in fewer than 5 passes, 5 swings of the bucket, 5 movements of that enormous hydraulic arm. That rhythm is almost hypnotic to watch. The bucket descends. It bites. It tears. It rises. It swings. It dumps. And the haul truck receives its cargo and rolls away toward the processing plant, already being replaced by the next truck in line. The cycle never stops. Now, let's talk about what this machine actually looks like standing next to a human being, because no number prepares you for the visual reality of the 6090 FS. Its total height exceeds that of a 3-story building. The top of the boom, when fully extended, reaches heights that would require safety harnesses and scaffolding just to access. The cab, where the operator sits and commands this entire machine, is perched high above the ground. Climbing into it requires a serious ascent up access ladders and walkways built into machine superstructure. The hydraulic arm alone has structural dimensions comparable to the main beams of a railway bridge. The boom sections are fabricated from high-tensile steel plate, welded with precision tolerances, and heat-treated to handle cyclical fatigue that would destroy ordinary structural steel in weeks. Stand next to a track shoe, just one track shoe, and it is taller than most adults. Walk along the length of the undercarriage, and you are walking the length of a small apartment building. The counterweight at the rear of the machine, designed to balance the forces generated during excavation, weighs more than most construction cranes. This machine does not just occupy space, it dominates it. In the context of an open pit mine, surrounded by haul trucks and drilling rigs and blasting equipment, the 6090 FS is still unmistakably, undeniably the largest thing in sight. Here is something that almost nobody thinks about when they see a machine like this operating, getting it there in the first place. The Caterpillar 6090 FS does not drive to a job site. It cannot be trucked in one piece. It arrives in components, dozens of them, transported on specialized heavy haul trailers across highways, mountain roads, and mining access tracks. The logistics operation to deliver a single 6090 FS to a remote open pit mine involves dozens of oversized load convoys, coordinated with local authorities and infrastructure managers, sometimes requiring temporary road reinforcement just to handle the component weights. Once on site, assembly begins, and assembly takes weeks. Specialized technicians work in shifts. Cranes lift massive steel components into position. Hydraulic lines are connected, tested, and retested. Electronic systems are calibrated. The entire machine is essentially built on-site, piece by engineered piece, until the day arrives when it takes its first operational step and begins the work it was designed to do. This is not a machine you buy off a shelf. This is a machine you commission, plan for, and build. And the mines that operate design their entire logistics and production flows around its presence. But even with all that machinery, all that power, all that engineering, none of it works without the human element. The operators of the Caterpillar 6090 FS are not ordinary equipment drivers. They are specialists, highly trained professionals who spend months, sometimes years, developing the skill and judgment required to command a machine of this scale responsibly. Inside the cab, the operator sits in an ergonomically designed seat surrounded by displays, joysticks, and control systems that translate human intention into hydraulic force at a massive scale. A subtle movement of the joystick translates into hundreds of tons of steel swinging through an arc. A slight adjustment of boom angle determines whether the bucket bites into the ore zone or misses the target. The best operators develop an almost intuitive feel for the machine. They sense its vibrations. They read the resistance in the ground. They anticipate how a particular zone of material will behave under the bucket, hard rock versus loose or versus overburden, and they adjust their technique accordingly. Surrounding the machine during operations, the environment is relentless. Tower lights illuminate the pit at night. Haul trucks queue in a continuous procession. Dust suppressant systems activate automatically. Sensors monitor ground vibration, slope stability, and machine health in real time. There is a choreography to it, a vast industrial ballet conducted by the rhythmic swing of that enormous bucket. The Caterpillar 6090 FS operates across some of the most resource-rich and remote environments on the planet. In Canada's oil sands, it tears through bituminous material in conditions where winter temperatures plunge below minus 40 degrees Celsius. In Australia's iron ore regions, it operates under blazing summer heat in remote regions where the nearest city might be 6 hours away. In the copper belts of South America, it works at altitude, in thin air, in mountains that were geologically active millions of years ago and still hold immense mineral wealth in their compressed rock layers. In every one of these environments, the 6090 FS performs. Not adequately, not sufficiently. It performs with a kind of relentless, cycle-after-cycle consistency that turns raw geological deposits into measurable production numbers that feed global supply chains. Coal for power generation, copper for electrical systems, gold for financial reserves and electronics, iron ore for the steel that builds everything. The 6090 FS extracts all of it at scales that make it one of the most economically significant single pieces of equipment operating anywhere on Earth at any given moment. There is something profound happening beneath all of this, something worth pausing to consider. Every electric vehicle on the road today requires copper, enormous amounts of copper, for its wiring, its motors, its charging systems. That copper had to be dug out of the ground. Every solar panel generating clean electricity requires materials that were extracted from the earth. Every wind turbine, every hospital, every smartphone, every skyscraper, every kilometer of railway, all of it traces back to a mine somewhere on this planet. Machines like the Caterpillar 6090 FS are the reason any of that is possible at scale. There is a philosophical paradox buried in that reality. This machine, which tears open mountains, which reshapes landscapes, which operates with a kind of industrial ferocity that seems almost violent, is also the machine that makes the clean energy future possible. It destroys to build. It excavates so that humanity can construct. It reaches into the ancient compressed geology of the earth and extracts the raw materials that become the technologies of tomorrow. Without machines like the 6090 FS, the energy transition would not be a slow process. It would be impossible, and the machine itself is evolving. The current generation of the 6090 FS already incorporates embedded sensor arrays that monitor hundreds of operating parameters in real time. Telemetry systems transmit machine health data to remote monitoring centers where analysts track patterns, hydraulic pressures, engine temperatures, and structural fatigue indicators. Predictive maintenance algorithms flag potential component failures before they occur, allowing planned maintenance shutdowns rather than catastrophic breakdowns. The next generation promises to go further. Hybrid powertrain concepts are already in development. Systems that capture and reuse energy from a boom's descent cycle, reducing fuel consumption without sacrificing performance. Fully electric configurations are being explored, driven by both the economics of fuel costs in remote locations and the increasing pressure on mining operations to reduce their carbon footprint. The machine that defines the current peak of hydraulic excavator engineering is already being reimagined for a world where raw power and environmental responsibility must coexist. The giant is learning new tricks. When the shift ends and the Caterpillar 6090 FS finally comes to rest, when the engines wind down and the lights of the pit glow against the night sky, there's a moment of almost surreal quiet. The ground around it tells the story of the shift that just ended. The cut face of the pit advanced by meters. The bench floor swept clean by the passage of hundreds of haul truck tires. The precise geometry of an excavation that started as a geological survey and is slowly becoming the physical record of humanity's extraction of the Earth's wealth. The machine rests like a titan in silence. 1,000 tons of steel, hydraulics, and electronics, still warm from the effort of full production shift. Tomorrow it will begin again. Same rhythm, same power, same relentless, extraordinary capability. If there is poetry in heavy engineering, and there is, it lives in that contrast. The brutality and the precision, the force and the control, the destruction and the purpose. The Caterpillar 6090 FS does not just move rock, it moves the world forward. And that is the story of the most powerful hydraulic excavator ever built. A machine that redefines what engineering can achieve. A machine that quietly, relentlessly makes possible everything we call modern life. If this video gave you a new perspective on the scale of what happens underground and in the open pits of the world, drop a comment below. Tell us, what machine do you want to see featured next? What engineering marvel should we cover? And if you are not subscribed yet, do it now, because this channel exists for people who understand that the most extraordinary things on Earth are not found in stadiums or showrooms. They are found in the mines on construction sites and at the absolute edge of what human engineering can accomplish. Subscribe, hit that bell, and we will see you in the next one.